What's up, guys? Been a few weeks here since I've shot any video. Some of you guys like to see what I'm working on, so got something a little different than the single cab here today. This is my 08 Z06. Been, working pretty hard on the single cab for a while and kind of need to take a break from it, work on something a little bit different. So had this car for a few months now, and it is a 1LZ car, so just had the basic radio in it. So working on putting a double din in that. Pretty much wrapped that up, got front and rear cameras and whatnot. But while the center console was off, also decided to go ahead and swap to a short throw shifter in it. Now, in my last Vette, I used MGW. I really like MGW shifters, but I run a Tick shifter in the single cab, and I've been really happy with that. And the guys at Tick always treat me well. We've been a dealer for them for quite a while, so I wanted to try their new shifter on this one because it's gotten some pretty good reviews among the Corvette crowd. I'm not going to go into depth about analyzing, the Tick shifter versus MGW, but I will say I really like the MGW, but there are a few differences that I like about the Tick. One being that it's a completely sealed assembly, and you don't have to reuse any components. I don't know if MGW has changed their design, but the last time I used it, the little center shaft here, you had to pull out of your original shifter and move that into the MGW box. Not really a big deal, but it's just nice when you're buying a unit to have a 100% new drop-in unit. So while the center console is out here, we're going to go ahead and swap this shifter in. I got all the dust boot and stuff removed, so I'm getting ready to lift this original shifter out, which is pretty straightforward. You just want to make sure it's in neutral. We're going to pull the two mounting bolts here and then pull the linkage bolt, get everything disconnected and out of the way. And then for the most part, just a matter of dropping the new Tick shifter in, getting everything buttoned up. So we'll show you that in just a minute. Once I get it swapped over, I'll cut to that. But real quick on the double din, got the Atoto double din, one of the Chinese Amazon brands, but it's the same unit that I run in the single cab, and I've been really happy with it. I wanted front and rear camera on the Corvette. I wanted Apple CarPlay, wireless CarPlay, because I'm going to drive this to some track days and some autocross events when I don't want to run the truck and I want to run something different. I can drive this out there instead of trailering it like I have to with the truck. So just makes things a little bit more laid back and relaxed, and having a more modern radio in it will make those drives a little bit more comfortable. So one thing I like about this unit that I use is it also integrates a dash cam. Got a glare there, but I got the DVR dash cam hooked up to it. It also has inputs for front and rear cameras, which is a nice feature. So I got those mounted on the car. The rear camera tucked right there. Looks pretty factory in that position. And then the front camera, which is always nice on the Corvettes because they sit so low up front, especially if you do like the ZR1 lip, which I'm going to do on this car, and lower it some. It's nice to be able to spot the curb when you're pulling in, or just check ground clearance. So you can see the camera there. I just centered it up right in the bottom of the grill opening. So I'll show you those features in a minute. I'm going to get the shifter in here, and then I'll fire the car up and kind of show you some of the camera features, and I'll show you the shifter once it's in. All right, I got the new Tick shifter bolted down in there. Pretty straightforward, 2 bolts and the shift rail linkage set screw. So got the shifter, the original shifter out of the way, new Tick shifter in, put the lever on it. This lever will accept a threaded rod. I think it's 9/16 standard shift ball thread, or it is flatted for your original shift knob and has a little set screw for the original shift knob if you prefer that, which is the way that I'm going to go. But initial impressions, pretty good. Definitely a shorter throw and a lot more precise. The centering springs on this are nice. It's going to make finding third pretty effortless. But I like how it feels. I'm looking forward to driving it. I'm going to go ahead and get the boot back on there. I think Tick's instructions are slightly outdated. It said not to trim this, but I did end up cutting this kind of at the first little ridge here, much like you would with the MGW install, so that it sits down around that seal on the Tick shifter. And if you cut it right at that first ridge, it's actually a really nice fit. You can kind of tuck it right down against their rubber so that it sits down in there and seals up real nice. So we'll go ahead and button this up and get my center console back in and take this thing for a drive. All right, we're all back together here. Got center console in, Tick shifter in, everything buttoned up on the double din. So I was going to go ahead and fire it up and let you check out some of those features. haven't changed anything on this yet. This is all kind of out of the box factory settings. So we'll probably clean up, you know, the home screen here. Maybe put the Corvette or the Z06 logo on there. Something to make it just a little bit more factory looking or cleaner. Turn this down so you can hear. So you have to bear with me here because I've got to get used to the settings. But we can view the front camera. Now this is the low mount bumper mounted camera. You can sort of see I got it set up to where I can just see the edge of the bumper. So if I'm pulling up to something, I can make sure that I'm not going to drag it too bad. That's the Denali sitting there in the other part of my driveway. So I also have the DVR on here for the dash cam. If you can see that, there's a little bit of a glare because of the sun. But that is front dash cam. I might try pulling this up once we're on the road, so there's not such a bad glare. But this records to an SD card on the dash cam, so that the head unit here is also your dash cam. You don't have to have a secondary unit. Put this in reverse. Backup camera comes on. Trying to get away from this glare. So you can see where you're going there. These Corvettes are kind of hard to see out of the back of. I mean, at least for me, I'm short, so nice to have a backup camera on here now. And we've got to, again, I got to go in and get all the settings to clean this up so that, you know, maybe get rid of the timestamp and everything. We'll go ahead and take this thing for a quick drive. Check out the new tick shifter. Now, I kind of shot this video on a whim, so I don't have my camera holder, so I'm going to have to try to drive this thing while simultaneously holding the camera. So I'm going to lay this here for a second, get my seatbelt on. Next step on the car is new steering wheel. Get rid of this worn Alcantara Centennial wheel sort of deal on here. Go back to kind of a factory leather one. And I'm going to swap over to steering wheel control so I can control the radio audio from the wheel. Again, just trying to modernize it a little bit. I'll put this in reverse. Go ahead and try to back out of the driveway here. was missing that precise feel that my last Corvette had with the MTW shifter, and so far initial impressions with the TIG shifter are that it delivers much of the same feel. It might feel almost a little bit more precise.